One of the areas that we as HR advisors are dealing with at the moment is mediation. It's been in the media, there's been various high-level litigation cases about mediation in the press of late, and it's just really raised its profile as one of the areas that employers can use to resolve conflict in an organisation. I think it's important to recognise that conflict will ultimately happen in any organisation because we're all human beings, we all have different personalities and people aren't always going to get on. But I think how that situation is managed can be critical about individuals working together and for the benefit of the organisation in the future. Mediation can be used in a grievance situation, it can be with individuals and also between teams as well, because they are sometimes area of conflict within organisations. One of the ways that you can start the mediation process is meeting individuals one-to-one, having an individual discussion about the issues that have been raised. It could have been observations from managers about how individuals are getting on, or it could have actually come from a member of staff as part of a wider performance management discussion. But I think getting in there early, speaking to the individuals concerned and agreeing a way forward is critical in this situation. It's about getting people on board, understanding the need to be able to get on, to put aside the differences and work together in the future. So individual meetings are really useful in the beginning of the process, and then follow that process through ultimately to get 2 people or 3 people or a whole team to agree how they are going to resolve this issue and work together in future. Once you've had those individual discussions, as I said, getting people to talk through the issues, through the work practices, whatever is the core problem in these situations, will ultimately benefit everybody involved. It's about having those meetings, being productive in those meetings, and sometimes it's a really useful tip to turn situations from, for example, I feel really upset when certain things happen, to you make me feel in this certain way. It can be something as simple as that, so it's taking the individuality and making it impersonal really, that can sometimes help those conflict areas. Once you've had those meetings and you begin to get some headway into how you're going to deal with that in the future, I think it's really important to get these solutions down in writing and for all parties to agree. I recommend having individual action plans, joint action plans, and everybody signing and agreeing to that and working to that document and reviewing that on a regular basis, because that's the way you'll continue to embed that good practice in the future, and hopefully that will resolve the problems. We have to sometimes accept that individuals aren't always going to get on at work, but it's about learning how to manage those relationships so that it doesn't affect overall performance and the morale of the team. The South Yorkshire HR Services network of HR advisors can offer that specialist support, because it is a skill to be able to mediate and facilitate these meetings. But it is about opening up the channels of communication, really dealing with the core root of the problems, which very often stem back to history, things that have happened in the past. But unless you get them out, lay your cards on the table and deal with them, then they do unfortunately manifest and become a bigger problem than they need to be. So please feel free to contact South Yorkshire HR Services. It does sometimes help by somebody being completely neutral outside of the organisation, because we don't have the baggage and the history and the knowledge of people that we're working with on a daily basis. It's about looking at things objectively and putting measures in place which will really help solve the problem for the future.